Is it legal to carry a firearm in the semi-truck? Can you protect yourself with a handgun? Or will you get into trouble for carrying a firearm with you while you're on the road? This is a hot topic and a big debate amongst the trucking community, and today we're going to sort out what is and isn't legal when it pertains to carrying firearms on a semi-truck. Let's go. Quick disclaimer, I am not a lawyer and I do not hand out legal advice. I'm just doing a lot of online research to find out what is and isn't legal when it pertains to firearms, so go about it with your own discretion. So for starters, any carrier that you work with should have access to a green book, and it's called the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations Handbook, and it's a little green book that looks like this. And in this book it contains all the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's laws and rules pertaining to semi-trucks. And if you're a CDL driver, you've probably seen this before. And it's important to stay up to date on the new laws and regulations that go into effect almost every year. So the question is, in this little green book, is there anything about carrying a firearm in the semi-truck? And the answer to that question is no. There's nothing in that handbook that pertains to carrying weapons inside of a semi-truck. This means that it's important to follow local laws and regulations concerning the matter. So the question then becomes, is it legal to carry a firearm in a car? Because the same rules that apply to a car apply to a semi-truck when it comes to carrying a weapon in the vehicle. And the answer to that question is yes. Per federal law 18 U.S.C. subsection 926A, every U.S. citizen may legally transport firearms across state lines as long as he or she is allowed to possess the weapons in both the state of origin as well as the destination. So what does this mean? This means that the state of which the firearm was originated, meaning where you purchased the firearm, you have to legally be allowed to carry in that state. Also, the state in which you're taking the firearm to, you must be legally allowed to carry that firearm in that state as well. But Trucker 219, we're just traveling through the states. Does it still apply? Well, each state has their own rules and regulations as far as what it means to carry a firearm in a car. And some states are more strict than others. And it's important to know what the rules and regulations are per state before you go ahead and travel through them or have your firearm in your semi-truck with you. There's a great online resource to find out some more information on this. And the website is called the USCCA, United States Concealed Carry Association. And on their website, they have what's called a reciprocity map. And this will show you what states will honor a concealed carry license, meaning if you're going to take your firearm outside of the vehicle and carry it on your person concealed. So depending on what state you live in and what state you have your permit in, only certain states will honor that permit. And then you have other states like Texas. And Texas has what's called a constitutional carry. And all of these other blue states have constitutional carry. And what does that mean? That means you do not have to have a permit in order to conceal carry in any of those states. And then there's other states like Colorado, New Mexico, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Virginia that require a permit to carry a gun concealed in their state. And then there's other states such as New York, Illinois, Washington, Oregon, and California that don't allow anybody to conceal carry at all. So this is a great resource for anybody looking to conceal carry a firearm. Now, does this mean that you cannot carry a firearm in your semi-truck in these states? And the answer to that is no. Each of those states have their own policy on how they deal with people transporting firearms through their state or to their state. And a good rule of thumb if you're going through any of the states that do not allow concealed carry is to keep your firearm unloaded and the ammunition and the gun separate in two different lock boxes and keep them out of reach of your person. This means in your sleeper berth in your bed, underneath the bunk, anywhere that's away from you while you're traveling through those states. But it is not against the law to have a firearm on your truck in those states. You just have to make sure that they're properly secured. And as we look at some of the states that have a little bit more strict gun policies, California says unloaded firearms can be transported in a locked container in the trunk or locked out of reach. Hawaii, I don't think any semi-trucks are going to Hawaii. Massachusetts, firearms must be unloaded in a locked or closed container when transported in a vehicle. New Jersey, firearms must be unloaded and contained in a closed and securely fastened case, gun box, or locked, unloaded in the trunk of the vehicle. New York is another one. Firearms must be unloaded and locked in a closed container when transported in a vehicle. So if you're going to states like California, Washington, New York, New Jersey, places that have really strict gun policies, it's always best to lock and secure your firearm, and I recommend keeping your firearm and ammunition separate in 2 different lock boxes. But Trucker 219, isn't your sleeper berth considered your home? In my opinion, yes, I believe that a sleeper berth is considered your home. However, legally, no, it is not considered a home, and it's not protected under the 4th Amendment from warrantless searches. And this also means having a firearm in your sleeper berth doesn't mean that you have it in your home. So even if it's in your sleeper berth, it needs to be in a lockbox if you are going through some of these more strict states. So what is considered a safe lockbox to use? Can you put your firearm in a backpack with a lock on the 2 zippers? Can you just store it under your bed? According to New York, a safe firearm lockbox is defined as a secure container that when locked is incapable of being opened without a key, combination, or other opening mechanism, and prevents unauthorized access to the weapon. And if you're looking for a lockbox to transport a firearm in a semi-truck, I'll put a couple of links down below for some pistol lockboxes. So can you carry firearms in a semi-truck? Absolutely, and I highly recommend that you do, as long as you know the applicable laws in the states that you're traveling to, through, and from. Because as we've seen on this channel, people are crazy out there and do wild things that put your life and your safety in jeopardy. I hope this video was helpful and cleared up some of the questions around carrying a firearm in a semi-truck. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section. What kind of firearm do you carry on your truck? And if you're not a fan of firearms, what are you using to protect yourself out on the road? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, bye.